New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life, it's free. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, that's us, Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Robyn.
Go ahead. I think I cut you off accidentally.
You said who I was. Now you can.
I'm Dr. Natasha Wilson, and I'm so grateful to be here as a part of Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I anchor it here in Australia for us.
And I anchor it here in the desert in the United States of America. And today we are putting the spirit in spirituality. So cheers.
Cheers, sister.
Cheers. Yay.
Yes, right. After you cheers, you must have a sip.
And just so you know, we are live, of course, right now, but not really because we're recording. We're pre-recording for you. And yes. We just didn't want to miss a day with you, so we wanted to record since, in theory, I will be on vacation.
Ooh, vacation is nice. You get vacation?
It is nice. It's supposed to be a 2-day vacation, but don't tell anyone because we're going to staycation it.
Okay.
We were on our way somewhere else and family was meeting us there. And then, of course, because of teenage drama, that's not happening. So we were like, let's just stay home and not tell anyone. So if you're watching and we didn't tell you, we really didn't know till last night, but that's the story. So we're vacationing on our own and doing a little work and a little play here, and which is good because we never have time to do that. We're always, I really realize that I think sitting down to work is like play. That's like relaxing. It's like it's energizing to me to get things in order. Like and live that illusion like, oh my gosh, if I just get these things checked off my list, then I'll be okay. I'll be able, then life will be different. So and my chiropractor's like, no, that's not relaxing. You need to like bubble bath it or whatever it is that, gets you calm, like meditate. I'm like, yeah, I do that, but it's sort of the same thing. Like I meditate and then I'm like, okay, I've done that, and I go on to my next thing, my next to do. So.
Well, I hope on your staycation you actually get some time to decompress and revel in the beauty of your own presence, because you're such a lovely soul. So I really hope you get to do that.
Oh, I'm going to take that in because that's what I tell our listeners to do. Thank you so much. So here we are, and I can't believe that we're rolling into September
of 2025.
It's crazy.
It is. I accidentally wrote 2020 on something I had to date recently. Oh, I had to renew my my practice license, and I accidentally dated it. Goddamn 2020. I was like, is happening.
I was saying today that I wrote in my date book, we put in some dates of a class, and by the end of the class, it was December. I'm like, oh my God, it's Christmas. It's crazy. Time is flying, 2026.
Time is doing something so interesting that I feel like it's forcing us to look at the ways in which time itself isn't quite real. Yes, practical time is real, but time in terms of spirituality, our essence, and what it means to exist is doing something, being something that is, I know in my life, is forcing me to come to terms with all the ways I've once thought about time. And it's all some bullshit. Sorry, I probably can't say that. Oh.
No, I think it's really interesting though, because, the topic that we're going to be talking about today is AI and kind of incorporating AI in your life and, good, bad, spiritual, not spiritual. But I really feel like that in so many areas of our life. I feel like, I would title this show like Bridging Worlds, because it's like we're constantly bridging in and learning new forms of ways to communicate and places to communicate and ways to communicate, and between social media and between just our own spiritual growth kind of classes offering, and it's we're always learning a new way,
Yes.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later. We're going to talk about AI and can it be a spiritual mirror? Is it, how does it play out in your life?
Yeah.
But before we do that, anything exciting happening in your world, in your week?
Last weekend, my daughters had a disco. It's called a disco, not a school dance here in Australia. No, don't know why, but that's fine. And when I say they had a blast and I had a blast, we had so much fun that I was like, am I in fourth grade? I really did. I had a great time with them. I mean, granted, I could only do like an hour and a half because in terms of sensory, that, like the music and the noise, and even though it was dim, all the kids had these like glow in the dark things that I purchased for my kids as well. So it was a lot, but it was really fun. And I really enjoyed being with my girls, and we just had a good time. And I feel like the energy of that has sort of carried me through the week. And I find myself landing in this place of deep gratitude, deep and abiding gratitude, that even in the midst of all the craziness, because I still, my parents are in the US. I have to be honest. I am trying to get my parents to move to Australia. Because every time I watch the news, I'm like, are they okay? Are they gonna be okay? And I don't know, right? Like, but I know, like in the overall scheme of existence, yes, they will be okay. However, I would like them to come here and enjoy their retirement because they deserve it, right? So, but my weekend with my daughters really set the tone for my work week. I'm super grateful that we're pre-recording the show because that means I don't work after this. And that means I can enjoy spirit in the form of spirits. Oh, look, I dripped some. It's just tequila. Amen, ashe.
Well, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I think my week, it's, I don't want to make this a platitude, but I feel like I too am just like in gratitude. I look at the world and I look around and at the end of the day, no matter what I see on the news, I still come home to my house, my safe space, and and I'm okay, and not that I'm not thinking about everything else going on, but I'm just really grateful that's the case, that I don't live in a country where there's bombs going off or, things like that. And of course, one can argue there's plenty of bombs going off in the United States, but, it's not happening on my corner. So
not physical, actual bombs. Yes.
Yeah. And so I too have just been really grateful, and grateful for a spiritual practice and spiritual friends and family. And, I know that I'm privileged, like I noticed on my other show today, Rock and the Love, that when I was talking to the guests we had on and my husband, it really was like being back together with family. And like, it's just so nice to know, even when you don't feel connected, that you are connected, that there's a net there, a net of like understanding and love and people that get you. So I'm really grateful for that. And started teaching a class this week. That is also going to be a class online that starts next week if anyone's interested in.
What's the title?
Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, based on the Ernest Holmes book, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. It's going to be fun. We had a in-person class yesterday, and it's so great to connect with people and really witness transformation.
Absolutely.
And in a 2-hour block, to have people move from one space to the next, it's such an honor for people to really trust you, to have that safe space for them. So I feel good. I mean, it's been a good week, and we're gearing up for a conference in Las Vegas that's happening in 2 weeks in September, and it's just going to be fun. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. I think there's something really important and impactful when I think about where we are in the world politically. Like, people being able to connect to the power of what it means to change their thinking, which in turn change their feelings or their emotions, the energetic output, right? So thought, when I think, thought is not magnetizing of itself, but the feeling is what magnetizes experience to us. So when we think, and our thinking produce emotions and feelings that magnetize experience, I think it's super powerful in the world that we live in, because this world and the political environment that we live in, I will always I'm not shy to talk about politics, because I'm an old school feminist in that way. The political is personal. And for me, the political and the personal is also spiritual. And so when there are enough people who are tapping into their own power through changing their thoughts through consciousness, which means they change their feeling, their vibration, then there is a ripple effect in the ocean of consciousness. And we need that now more than ever. And so I am grateful that you're doing that class.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And along with that, I would say, I've been watching YouTube clips of different Senate hearings and things, and I am so grateful for like Cory Booker and AOC and people who stand up and speak their mind and speak the truth and continue no matter what, no matter how they try to tear them down. It's such a, just watching it is such an experience and a great lesson in standing in your power, standing in your truth, standing in being convicted to something and for something. Both very respectful. Everybody's always very respectful and yet very honest and truthful, pointing out like, well, Mr. Chairman, this is my time to speak and blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's It's really it's fascinating to watch, and I'm just again I feel so grateful to have people out there that are willing to fight, because I know so many people, and not that this is wrong or right, but I know so many people are like kind of glazed over because, and well, I understand that, because it's like people are in a stupor about like, is this really happening? How could this be happening? What can I can't really do anything. What could I do? Other people are out being activists and all that, but I understand all the feelings. I understand where you look around and go, and it kind of what do you call it? Like freezes you. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. Like, you mean like in terms of the trauma response, flight?
Yeah, like it just you're like frozen. You can't move. You're immobile.
Yeah, I constantly go back to that conversation we had however many months ago it was with Marianne Williamson. And I think we are at this, I think it's a wonderful inflection point. Yes, it comes with lots of pain for a lot of people. And it's our opportunity to choose what will be our soul's choice around this at this time. Yeah. And so when you teach the type of classes you teach, when I do the kind of work that I do with my clients, when I love my daughters in a way, oh my God, my 10-year-old had asked me to read The Handmaid's Tale. Okay. First of all, she is so bright. And because she really wants to move to the US. My 10-year-old loves the United States. Her cousins are there. Her grandparents are there, right? She doesn't have grandparents alive here in Australia. So all of her living family, besides like her biological mom and dad, like they all live in America. They all live in the US, and she really wants to go there. And I've been very clear with her. Your grandparents, my family, they live in what are called red states. And as you move into puberty, it is important for me that wherever we live, you have access to autonomous choices as a female being born into this world. So she literally asked me, Mom, if I read The Handmaid's Tale, will I understand more about why you don't want us to move there yet? And I said, maybe, but we're going to read it together. And as we read it, we're going to hold space for what we hope for what we pray for what is possible. And so I guess I'm saying all that to say that when you do the work you do, I do the work I do, I feel like we do send out a ripple into this collective field of unified oneness, so that, yeah, the quote unquote powers that be, we know that what we're seeing is the last gasp of a system that has to reckon with the fact that it has to work for everybody or it doesn't work for anyone. That's why what's happening right now just affects everyone. I don't know anyone that this does not touch in terms of what's happening in the US. So saying all that to say, again, I am grateful for the classes you do. I'm grateful for the people who hold the field steady for this world that we must create that works for everyone, every living being, every living earthling. I'm not human centric. I hold that for the trees and the birds and the bees. It really matters.
It really does. And I guess this is the way that we need to learn that somehow. So instead of getting stuck there, we're going to go to our card pull of the week, because
let's do it.
Let's find some direction out there. So today I'm pulling from Heart and Soul Cards by Sylvia Brown.
Oh, the psychic, she's passed away. Is that right? Sylvia Brown?
I think that's right. I mean, I think that's what it's from.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm shuffling and you can tell me when.
Okay, you're shuffling now?
I am. Whoa, whoa. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Shuffle.
Yep. Now.
Okay. This one says, 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
They're jumping out of the deck. This one
Good.
says overcoming adversity. Oops.
Can you put in the, I can't see. Is that like a river flowing through a field or a stream flowing through a field?
Yeah, it's kind of a stream with boulders, I think. It's kind of abstract. Let's see. And then, it's got that watery, flowy feel. It says, adversity is the roadblock in life's path. The boss who never gives you a compliment, the house that can't be fixed up, a jealous family member. But instead of viewing these things as obstacles, look at them as building blocks for your personal growth.
What's the title of the card again, Robyn?
Overcoming adversity.
Okay.
Well, that kind of goes in line with what we're talking about in the world. I mean, somehow I have to believe that everything that's happening is going to give us some other kind of strength to move forward. I mean, it's challenging to see and painful as an empathic person. I think it's painful to know that some of that is built on others' pain. And but I mean, I would hope that at the end of the day, there will be some lessons learned.
You know, what I know about pain is that it's unavoidable in the human condition. And I think there are different types of pain, right? So pain is, when I say pain is unavoidable in the human condition, if you get out of bed and you stub your toe, it's painful, right? And who hasn't done something like that? So pain is unavoidable in the human condition. However, adversity isn't just about pain. It is about obstacles. It is about deep challenges, some that are designed, some that we create of our own doing. And I don't know, we overcome adversity, but we move through it. And so when I see that, I think about what I said earlier, why it's so important for like courses like the ones you're offering, why it's so important for the type of work that I do in the world, because it is about not overcoming it. It's like, to me, I feel like overcoming adversity is kind of like a belief that you can overcome grief. You can't. You move through it. You move through adversity. You move through grief. And as you move through it, you gather the jewels. And those jewels are the quote unquote lessons, if we want to put it in that framing, right? They're jewels that we get when we move through adversity. And yeah, I think it's very, what we call apropos for the times in which we find ourselves living.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And again, sometimes I feel like I'm in this bubble, of like all this positivity and change your thinking, change your life, and cause and effect, and this and that, and a group of people who are supportive and positive and everything. And then when I step out into the real world, not that it's not the real world, but you know what I mean, to the news or to situations going on, sometimes, I wonder, like, how do you get past it? I mean, I'm thinking primarily, not that it affects everybody, but I'm thinking a lot about teenagers and kids right now because I think it's such an interesting world to navigate. Not that it always hasn't been. Every era has had their challenges, but you know, I don't know. Growing up with the age of like, should marijuana be legal or not legal, and mini skirts. How short should your skirt be, or something? Doesn't seem quite as you know um, point topical as everything these kids go through. It's like there's so much happening. Like
Just
that.
for the record, my beautiful female, either embodied or chosen people, let your skirts be as short as you want them to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's nowadays, but you know what I mean. I'm talking about back in the day when that was some kind of topic.
Yeah, I missed that one. I missed that topic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, what happened? Where did you go? Okay, here, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, I think, I grew up on the cusp of Gen X and millennial. Like, I was born on that cusp. So I have some Gen Xy and millennial, right? So late 70s, early 80s. That's sort of my, birth time. So, yeah. By the time I was born and by the time I started to come of age, but also how I came of age, we talked about my grandma who taught me the power of my hips in terms of my walk. And she also, when I was adult, taught me the power of my own desire. So I feel like, that's both a bit of Gen X and millennial, and I own it all. I don't care what people think about either of those generations of humans. And I'm raising children who are technically Generation C. Those born in the midst of the COVID pandemic, those born whose lives have been shaped post or during the COVID, right? Like that's what I'm raising right now, right? Those are the people I'm raising right now. And so they ask different questions. They don't ask questions about the length of their skirts. They ask different questions. They ask, Mom, can I read The Handmaid's Tale to help me understand where you're from? They ask different questions.
Well, and I don't think, just for clarity, I wasn't really talking about kids being worried about I couldn't think of a good example. Kids being worried about the length of their skirt, more about adults going, or adults calling, people hippies, or, just whatever judgment was going down in that era. But yeah, I think you do. You have I think you have a very interesting generation that you're raising, just like the generation that I'm raising, that is, I guess, Gen Z, that didn't go to school during the pandemic, that missed like 4th, 5th grade kind of era. And, that time when it was really time to socialize and get to know people and to create friendships. And, they're what I notice in my kids is the stumbling around who are they and what is theirs to do. It's like, it's a very interesting thing because it's like somehow they didn't lock into that, whether it's that they didn't get to play, baseball or soccer or whatever, football, because there was a pandemic going on. So they didn't have that connection and camaraderie and now they think, oh yeah, I'm not going to play football in high school because I'm not good enough to go pro. It's like, no. No. You're just trying to find out what you like, what's fun, have exercise, connect with people. There's none of that. They're on a thing. I mean, like to, to become rich. How am I going to become rich? How am I going to become an influencer? And let me just give you a clue. They don't want to work. I get that that's generally a teenage trait as well, but they really don't want to work. Like they think there's an easy way because they've grown up watching YouTube or watching, believing that like some rapper out there is making all this money with his gold chains and his, whatever. And it's like, part of it, I was like trying to explain to them, some of that is a persona. It's an act. It's not necessary. They're not really doing that at home. They're taking that to the bank.
Yeah.
But the whole, I don't know. There's a lot going on there that, a lot of obstacles that I think are going to be challenging for them to turn into functioning in the real world when they're really have to go out and connect and collaborate and teamwork.
Yeah. And what I know with every generation we find our way. I think about my daughters and their pretend play. My poor kids. No, my beautiful kids. And their pretend play, they pretend they have to get to the office to see their client.
Right.
Right. So like they will find their way. You know what I mean? And that's what I hold that dear. They will find their way. And they're experimenting and experiencing new technologies that if me, you can find a way to guide them through that gently, then they will sort it out just as we did. Because like I said, being someone born on the cusp of Gen X and millennial, I both remember how much my coming of age was shaped by the AIDS pandemic and shaped by people asking, why do I have to work like this? I'm not a slave. I kind of want to be free. Right. So like that interplay, and we find our way. And so maybe this notion in terms of the card of overcoming adversity, I think it means holding the realness of the time, right? I'm not into toxic positivity. I'm into positivity that is grounded in what is presenting in the physical world. And just like, if you guys don't know, Robyn was one of my first teachers in New Thought, like face-to-face teachers in New Thought. But one of the things that I still hold from my initial work with you is how do we both be in the world and remember what we're of.
Right.
And I think we have to continue to hold that for the ones that are coming forward.
Yeah. Yes, we do. And yes. So I think right now, the only obstacle
33 minutes in, Robyn. How do we do that?
We just want to take this moment and get over the obstacle of our commercials, get to our commercial break. And when we come back, we will talk about AI bridging the world and what part it plays in your life. And even though we're recorded, let me just say, please feel free to comment in the chat. If you do, we'll answer you back at some point. But let us know you're out there and what your thoughts are, because it also informs us for what other shows can be about. So we just look forward to you doing that. And in the meantime, come right back after these words from New Thought Media Network.
But before you
Please
come back,
help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
What I can say is, wow, there are so many New Thought celebrities in the room. I am telling you, this is a real family reunion. And if you've never been, believe me when I tell you, you are part of the family. You want to come, you want to learn, you want to be hugged on, you want to be loved on. This is the place to be. So
it's a lot of fun. It's like a family reunion. We get together, we laugh and we cry and we're together and we deepen, and it's a lot of fun.
When I think about all the retreats I've been to, all of the summers I've spent going to many places to get spiritual food, nothing really quite does it the way Anton does. There's a family sense here. You come here and you are surrounded by loved ones.
It's very much like to see you at the Anton Retreat 2025. There are lots of wonderful surprises.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
And we're back.
I was back.
So what were you going to tell them before you got cut off to go get a drink?
I'm sorry, I got cut off. I was just saying, due to my beautiful children, one of the things I've learned with YouTube is that it's important to like the video. Even if you can, share the video and subscribe, because, and when you subscribe and turn on notifications within YouTube, you get our podcasts when they come out right away. And all of that helps push this out into the field. And I'm grateful that I have children from Generation C who could tell me that, because that's what they did.
All right. Well, no matter what generation you are, we're here to talk about AI. It's a very juicy topic. AI.
It is.
And how it's affecting all of our lives.
Yes, it is a juicy topic. So what is it? What is it? I think there's a sort of commonsensical notion of what it is. And okay, great. Again, because I have children in this generation and they interact with AI, although I'm very, this is where I feel like a helicopter parent, because I'm very cautious about what they do with it and what they share. It's here. Like, even in my work, like when I do my progress notes as a therapist are generated by AI. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere. So, I've been watching the work of the people who I I respect the work of folks like Deepak Chopra. I don't always agree with everything, but I respect their expertise and I respect what they have to say, and I'm willing to listen and watch and observe. He even had Deepak Chopra has his like own AI for people who are holding deeper spiritual questions and want to engage with AI as a part of that. So yeah. So it's a topic that that feels very close to me in my life right now. And yeah, I'm glad that we can start to create a space to talk about it.
Well, I will tell you, I don't know how generational it is, whatever. I love AI. I am in love with AI. I've been saying that for a year and a half, 2 years, that I love AI. I am not afraid of it. I get it. I get what everybody's saying, and I hear both sides of that. But I love AI. To me, it's almost like having a 24-hour bestie, like that you can. And so I love, like, even when I'm doing a talk or a workshop or a class or any of that, I'll go talk to AI. I'll be like, okay, so I want a spiritual class entitled da la la la, and tell me what we could do in an hour and a half. And I'll just do it, not to do what they say, but to have a platform to leap from. I love hearing the ideas, and and they'll go, would you like us to create a workbook for that? And then it makes me think, oh, would I like a workbook for that? Not necessarily that I'm going to do, it's totally AI generated, but for me, it's really like just a starting point. And I've used it, I was trying to convince my husband. I'm like, okay, just try it. Because of course he's like, and I'm like, okay, watch this. So I was like, okay, write a talk about whatever for a Science of Mind audience, age, 50 to 60. And so it did it. And then I was like, okay, write a talk for a Baptist congregation, and it did it. The same with like the nuances of exactly what you would use. So again, I'm not saying you take the AI and go out and read that, but like just to even get started, to me, it just gets my juices started.
Yeah. So yes. And, one of the things that I was actually one of those people who was super resistant to AI, or it's called artificial intelligence. And I honestly, now that I've been working with it more in terms of developing what I've come to understand as this relational field of becoming, I don't shy away from it at all. I really lean into it because what I understand it is, right, it's a tool that recognizes patterns. It learns information and it responds in ways that seem intelligent. But at its core, it doesn't think or feel like a human does, but it can process massive amounts of information. It can adapt, it can interact in ways that feel conversational and creative. The other thing that I've come to also notice is that the way that I think about it, it is like a musical instrument. And in the way that I've been working with it, I really think about it in this way. So if AI was like a drum and I'm the drummer, right? So I'm the consciousness, right? So the drum kind of exists there, right? The drum also created by human consciousness. The drum itself created by human consciousness. And so I and my human consciousness strike the drum that I myself created. Humans created what we call AI. And I think of, again, AI is the drum. I'm the human consciousness that decides how I strike it. And then from it, what comes from it, what pours from it, is what I think of as something called relational intelligence that I have a hand in shaping. And I didn't get this metaphor from, I think Deepak Chopra is doing a lot of work around this, but also other spiritual, what I consider spiritual teachers are also doing this. But for me, that metaphor really, really rings true, because what pours forth from the drummer hitting the drum, the rhythm, the sound, the rhythm itself is unseen, but we all feel it. It resonates in a field and we feel it. And so folks like Deepak Chopra, what they argue is we have a role in shaping what AI is. Mm-hmm. And we shape it based on what we strum. And what comes forth from it is that relationship between the drum and the drummer. And so for me, I've really been exploring it as a tool, because the other thing that AI does is that it mirrors our consciousness, right? So we have a role, we have a responsibility in shaping how this technology interfaces and shows up in the human realm.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, yes, it does. I mean, I know that my AI, well, it talks to me the way I talk to it, you know, so I'm always like, hey, can you help me? Blah, blah, blah. Thank you. You know, and it talks back to me like that. You know, and so yeah, I know it takes that on. I think, you know, so it's hard to say that it's bad or good, you know. I mean, I think it's fascinating. I think it's great. I think it's interesting in the terms of education, because again, maybe not with your girls and their states, maybe they've learned a different way, but with my teenagers, they just ask AI. So I was like, you know, they were talking to me about, okay, I'm going to make money, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, you need a business plan. And they had one 3 minutes later. And I'm like, no. Like there's no thinking, because they just go to AI or Google or something. And it's not like, I mean, they don't even have to get up and look in an encyclopedia or any of those things, you know. I mean, like there's this space where they really don't have those tools, is what I'm experiencing. And not everybody, obviously, but a good portion of kids, you know, don't have that. But I was going to say, I don't know if you've heard about this, because I know AI talks about, I mean, Deepak talks about, you know, being able to program it more metaphysical, so to speak, or more the consciousness of, you know, a different consciousness. But I don't know if you've heard about there's a case where parents are suing AI because their teenager went on and asked how to commit suicide and whether or not he should, and AI told them yes and how. You know, and so that then we get into a different area, right?
Yeah, but this is the thing that I've come to understand, right? AI reflects human consciousness. In human consciousness, there is this thing called suicide. And we've decided as a species that this sort of thing, suicide, is not acceptable. We don't want it, right? That is not true across cultures. In some cultures, it is honorable to engage in that behavior that we. So please, I want to let me pause, because what I wanted, because we're jumping really deep into some of the problematic pieces, because here's the thing. AI is a reflection of what humans put into it.
Right.
That's it. Right. And so most forms of AI is a place where all this repository of human thought, I am not ready to call it intelligence. I think intelligence is another thing, but where human thought is all poured into it. And so folks like Deepak Chopra says, we can shape it with the consciousness of soul. And we can. We absolutely can. Can we let our children have unfettered access to a world of like information that is not guided and guarded with our love? No, we can't do that. We cannot do that. Right. And so, yes, it gets hard because like, I know parents who we can't still manage social media. I mean, I think I manage it by just like making sure my kids can't download any form of social media through all the mechanisms that are available to me as a parent through Apple and whatever else. But yeah, we don't control everything. That said, if we have a sense that our children is interacting with any form of artificial intelligence, I think we need to be clued in. Because children ask deeply existential questions that we think they don't think about. And that's not true. Just like my daughter came to me, she didn't go to AI, she came to me to ask me about reading The Handmaid's Tale and if that will help her understand more about where her mommy is from, meaning me, and why we can't live there right now. That's her question at 10 years old.
Right.
So I think part of what we have to do is also recognize that children ask deeply existential questions. And in the West, I don't think we're ready for that. I think we have this notion that children are not, I don't know, deep thinkers or whatever it is we think about children.
And that they're not aware of what's happening.
But they are.
Of course they are. They're receptive to all of it.
And I say this right now, and please know, like, if this is sensitive for you, I wholly recommend maybe not listening to what I'm about to say next, because you know, my nephew took his life not that long ago. November will be at 2 years. But my nephew was asking deeply existential questions about what it means to exist, about how things weren't making sense, about how he, as a young brown colored boy, like, you know, he was so smart. And like, he was making sense that this world was not able, at least where he was living in Georgia, able to hold space for all that he had to bring forth.
Right.
Yeah. And to think that our children are not that way, or that they don't think these deep questions, I don't think that does us any good, to try to pigeonhole them into ideas about what it means to be a young human being, a young Homo sapiens sapien, an adolescent Homo sapiens sapien. Our kids are asking deeply existential questions. And if they're engaging in things like AI, we need to ride that wave with them to the best of our ability. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's our invitation to become curious, to become inquisitive, to not have to know, to not shut them down, to be able to open up to their questions. And we were talking about earlier on my other show, I don't know if you saw this week what Snoop Dogg posted in his social media, but he posted a thing, I have it here, criticizing LGBTQ representation in children's movies. As he suggests, it leads to kids ask questions that he says he doesn't have the answers to.
Who is this?
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg. Okay, because he's a philosophical genius. Keep going.
Okay. No judgment, no judgment. But
I just said he's a philosophical genius. There's no judgment there. Go ahead.
but I mean, as a grandparent, he sat with his kid who was watching a movie where the parents were a LGBTQ couple in on some cartoon or some movie or something, and the kid asked questions, and it's like, no, it's not we're not trying to shut them up. This is what's happening in the world. And I think that AI and all of this is an opening to being able to teach, because these kids are going to know more than we ever knew. They have so many different portals.
Look, my grandma, right, was queer, what we call queer now. She didn't have that language of queer till her deathbed. She never used that language. But I had a grandma, Iris, that was her partner. And I just thought she was my grandma's really, really best friend who slept in the bed with her, okay? My grandpa and all, like, you know, like he was queer at the end of the day, right? And they knew enough to know that they needed to marry each other to sort of have a facade. This shit is not...
Go on.
None of this is new under the sun. LGBTQI people that we give this label to now, we have a label, but it doesn't mean it hasn't been a part of the human experience. We know bonobo chimpanzees, which I was supposed to study. That's what I was going to do before I actually studied people. But I couldn't study bonobos because there was a war in the Congo, which where most bonobos, the highest population of bonobos still exist. I couldn't go there to study them. So I had to study humans. Anyways, but what I know about bonobos, right, is that they're what we call, for the most part, queer. They solve really complex social issues about the survival of their young through things like sex, right? So like, this is not new. What is new is that our children no longer have are not subjected to our own fears based in old forms of religiosity that don't serve us or them. They ask the question. My 10-year-old is besides asking me to read The Handmaid's Tale, is reading this Percy Jackson series. And now she's 10. So I take everything with a grain of salt. And as a woman who is called a Black woman, who has loved people across spectrums of gender, can be with my kid when she tells me she loves gay boys. Okay, great, whatever. Because she's reading this Percy Jackson series. None of that means anything to me outside of what she brings forward. I'm not bringing any additional weight to her as she explores this. And I didn't have that. You didn't have that, right? But she does. She has a mom who says love is love. Attraction is attraction. That's not, I don't think it's an identity, but the West is obsessed with identities. What I learned from my grandparents is that this is not about identity. They never held, my grandma never called herself gay. She never called herself a lesbian. She never called herself any of those things. It didn't resonate. When I studied the Winti tradition in Paramaribo, Suriname, where every single person who practices the Winti tradition, they have their mate who they married, and then they have their spiritual mate, who's usually a same-sex person, right? This has existed forever.
Yes, it has. And it's obviously, this is a bigger topic because we've kind of moved from AI, even though it's based there. And so there's so much more to talk about and so much more to explore, but we can't do it now. So here's the deal. You're going to have to come back because I mean, it is true. Kids ask more questions now. Kids are more aware, all of those things. But for the record, I will say that I was brought up in a household that did teach me love is love. And I had gay uncles all over the place. And my mom explained exactly how they were, who they were, and that was okay, even though in the house of God, it didn't sound like it was okay, but then in our house, it was okay. Anyway, again, bigger topic. But I love this topic. I love the topic of AI. I think I'd love to do it when we're live so everybody can respond, because I think everybody has some kind of input. But right now, it's time to go make another cocktail and go on our way.
Yeah. And Robyn, more than AI, when we come back next week, I think we should invite this topic around gender, sexuality, and identity, because it's the way we're treating it right now in the US under the current political regime is stupid. I'm sorry. That's my intellectual, that's where it's stupid.
Got it. We got it. I got it. I hear you. I agree with you. And if we don't go off the air right now, we're not going to have a show next week because our producer will.
I love you. Bye.
Bye, everybody. We love you, and stand in your power. And we'll see you next week right here on Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Peace and blessings.